Okay, so part of what I'm going to share with you today, the title of today's talk is Calling All Angels, is from Dr. Roger Teal from Mile High Church, some of what he shared that had to do with angels. So I want to start with a story about a Scottish man that obviously lived in Scotland, in a small Scottish village, and he was just a really, really, really wonderful man, and his name was Joseph Craik. This was years and years and years ago, and he had a reputation for one who could create angels out of ink blots, and he was just known all over Scotland. He was quite an artist, he was a calligrapher, he worked with pens and ink, and he was just very, very good at what he did, but he was also a teacher of young people. And during that time, because the students had to write with quill pens and with fountain pens, oftentimes when they would turn their work in, there would be ink blots and smears on the paper. But instead of reprimanding the kids, instead of like drawing a red circle around it or decreasing their grade, what he would do is he would just start to draw a line here and draw a line there, and he would create a beautiful angel out of that ink blot. And he did this with every single ink blot, with every single smear, with every paper that came in. And the kids loved it. They loved receiving these angels, and perhaps they even made the ink blots and the smears more because they loved it so much. But they also felt very, very deeply cared about and deeply valued with it, with what he did for them. So there's many ways that we can relate this story, but in life, if we want to look for the blots and the smears and things like that, we have a choice as to how we can look at those things, whether they're in our own life, whether they're in the world around us and in our loved ones' lives. We can look and we can focus on the messes and the failures, and we could demean that, and we could put the big red mark around it, and we could degrade things. But we are always at that choice to also create something beautiful out of it. We always have that choice to create something beautiful out of what appears to be something really messy and awful in our lives. Some people, Roger actually said that some people like to hang their shingle out. Now I kind of changed what I put on the shingle itself. They put a shingle out and it says CNP, critical negative person. And some of us hang our shingles. I don't think most of us here hang our shingles out on that. But do we know any people who might be critical, negative people in our experiences or in the world around us? Absolutely. And they look all around to apply their art of criticism and of impossibilities, of limitation, of doom and gloom, and they focus on what seems to be the reality of what they think that they know about the blots in life. But what they don't know is they don't know really the power of the human spirit. And they haven't really tapped into, and they don't know the possibilities that exist in God, the possibilities that exist in this divine realm that we live and move and have our being in every single moment of the day, in every single experience and event that we have. They haven't tapped into that. So we know that, during this Christmas time, that there's a lot that we see about angels. There's angels, obviously, in the decorations, and we sing about angels in the Christmas carols, and there's the stories about angels in the Christmas story itself. And we also know that, angels really have become a rage in the last few years. We've seen a lot of books about angels, and there's cards about angels, and there's art and there's sculpture about angels. And so when we look at this idea of angels, there's a lot of ways that it can be looked at. Now, many people look at angels as the voice of the divine. They see angels as that intuitive nudging, that sometimes even that inner knowing. Have any of us had that inner knowing? You ever had that? You just knew, and you knew without even understanding why you knew or know. either or. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said that an angel is a messenger of God, the projection into consciousness of a spiritual idea direct from the fountainhead Jehovah. So direct from the reality of God. Now, there's also people that believe that there are literally angels, that there are spiritual presences that show up at different times. And I have talked to people that have literally had experiences where they have seen something, or somebody has shown up that there's no logical explanation. Nobody else saw them. They could never find them again. So these spiritual presences that are around us. And if we believe that this is a universe of total spiritual energy, and that everything that we live and move and have our being in is God, then I think we also have to open ourselves up to the possibility, if not the probability, that these presences actually do exist. I myself have felt a presence, a knowingness, something that I know was not just my mind that moved me or guided me to something, or a knowing before something happened. This has happened so many times. Sean and I will talk about it, and I'll be like, I just knew that thing was going to happen, or I knew that person was going to do this. And so there's this kind of knowing. And then there's also the angels that are all around us. It's the multitude of angels that are sitting in this room. It's the angels that are here very much in flesh and blood. They're everywhere that we go. And all of us have probably had people in our life, just like in the meditation, that have shown up at certain times in this physical body that have been angels to us. Yes? Yeah. I personally believe in all three. I believe that angels are the caress of the divine, that they are that intuitive nudge. I believe that there are spiritual presences. I can't explain that, but I believe that. And I believe that angels are absolutely each and every one of us. So we're talking about angels among us. And these are angels who serve the divine purpose, who are divine messengers, people that show up that remind us of the wholeness and the beauty that is within us. They remind us of our basic essence, our potentiality. They remind us of the possibilities that exist. And the thing is, my friends, is that we not only have angels around us, but really, really, really what I'm going to focus on today is that we can serve as those angels. Whatever we believe about angels, you don't have to believe any of it. But the reality is that we can serve as those angels for our families, for our friends, for people out on the street. And, ultimately we can serve as those angels in the world around us. Now, what we do know is the Christmas story is filled with angels, and angels that were bringing tidings of great joy. They were bringing the good news. And it was interesting because as I really sat back and I started looking at the Christmas story, I saw that generally when somebody was visited by an angel, that they had to have a great amount of trust. That even though these angels were bringing tidings of great joy, they were bringing good news, that essentially what was happening were people were having to step out of conventional being and move into something that was far radical most of the time, but that it always led to a greater expression of the Christ essence that all of us are. So we look at the story of Mary. Mary one day went to the wellspring in Nazareth, which she did most days. She was met by the angel Gabriel there. And Gabriel comes to her, and he invites her to step into this role of mothering, of bringing forth this beingness that is going to pull all of humanity into a greater expression of our reality. Now, think about think about Mary at this time, because this really was a radical thing. And she could have dodged it. She could have said, no way, no way. First of all, that's not even possible. I'm a virgin. That could never happen. She could have said, no way, because, what are people going to think? People are never going to believe this. They're never going to believe that this was a holy conception. No way. I'm so young. And I will, think about the harshness of judgment during that time. And so she was the angel's coming to say, you have the opportunity to birth. The one who is coming to, in the literal story, save the world. And, we think in our mind, we would just say yes. But think about what was being asked here. And think about how much trust she had to step into in order. And what she said, because her precious heart just said yes, and she said, I will be the handmaiden of the Lord. I will do that, yes, I will do that. So then let's go to Joseph. Joseph is much older than Mary, and he finds that his espoused is with child, and it's not his. He hasn't even been with her. And, this angel visits him. And so, Joseph, it's like, think about now today, we're pretty good with people living together, people, not being married and having children. It didn't happen in those days. This is like, no way. And here's what the story says, Matthew 1:18-24. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with the child of the Holy Ghost. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take Mary unto thee for thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife. They make it sound so easy in Scripture, don't they? He woke up and he said, okay. I don't believe exactly that was probably how it happened, because I think that, and even in the Scripture itself, we see that Jesus really embraced our humanity. And I think that he probably had a little bit of struggle with that, saying, really? I think I need to talk to Mary about this. I need to find out about this for sure. But the reality is, again, this knowing, this something is saying, there's something greater happening here. Step into it and trust it. It is always, this angel voice is always calling us forth to something greater. And even for ourselves as being angels in people's lives, we have that opportunity to call people forth to something greater, to remember for them and to remember with them. Now, I believe that recently, very recently, in fact, this weekend, that one who I believe was an angel just left this earthly plane. And that person, let me turn that on, is Nelson Mandela. He was an angel who, despite expectation, despite what most people would have probably rallied around, and even despite what went on in his very human mind and his very human heart as to what he wanted to do after serving, 27 years in prison, which was revenge. This was the expectation. But he stepped out of those conventional ways of being, and he brought the good news of great joy that forgiveness is the way. That he said that hate begets hate, that the only way to stop the madness is to love. And we look and I think we get sometimes so stuck in just looking at Jesus as being the way shower. Jesus was one of the ultimate way showers, but we have way showers all the time. We have angels who are constantly reminding us, and I think he is just an incredible example of what we can bring forth and what we can be in our own life experience. He said, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave that hatred and bitterness behind, that I would still be in prison. He made a choice. And he made a choice that is calling all of us to something higher, that is calling us to step out of conventional ways of being, that was calling everybody, and especially the people in Africa, to show up differently instead of coming and acting with revenge and with hate and with killing. He was that angel that was calling everybody forward to say forgiveness is the way. And I didn't bring this one, but in Roger Ray's church, he has a doctor that was born in Italy, but he spent time in Africa during the time that Nelson Mandela had gotten out of prison. And he said it was just an amazing thing to see him come back to that country. And he said he not only spoke the words, but he showed it in his actions. And he actually kept some of the staff on that were very much a part of that whole experience of apartheid. And he said that when he bought a modest house, and when he moved into that house, that he went out to every neighbor, white and black, and introduced himself. That he was not only the person that was saying it, he was really walking the talk. He was living that there is a different way, but we have to be willing to step into, we have to have the courage to step into it and be that and remind people of that. So I'm going to share with you some more quotes of what I think was Nelson Mandela's good news. He said, part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. There were many dark moments when my faith in humanity was tested, but I would not and could not give myself up to despair. And I thought about how, in our own lives, or when we're seeing other people that are struggling, and we have that opportunity to be that angel, that we can be that reminder, to say, keep your mind, keep your heart focused on God, and keep moving forward toward the vision that you have. Or those times when somebody has reminded us of that because the reality is that when we are living, we all are, yes, that it's not always going to be just this easy journey. I think sometimes we get these messages, these intuitive nudgings, and it's an easy way through. Many times it's not. But when we have that knowing, that nudging, that's something that is calling us forward, it is so good to have people around us that remind us, just keep on keeping on. Keep your eye on God. Keep your heart, keep your mind focused on God, on that greater reality, and keep moving forward. I love this. He said, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. This was a radical idea that they could shift, that we can shift, that we can move beyond all of this discrimination that is rampant in our society, that we can move beyond that. And we're seeing that that's happening. It's happening. But we could get discouraged, couldn't we? Because we want it to happen faster. But we have to keep on keeping on. And we, as the angels that are showing up in the world around us, have to be that expression of love, of oneness, of seeing each and every person as valuable and as valued. This is great. It always seems impossible until it's done. Again, just a reminder to be open, because there's always different paths that are going to get us there. He said, do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Again, this beautiful angelic voice that is reminding us that you may fall down, and you may fall down, and you may fall down, but you can get back up, and you can get back up, and you can get back up over and over and over again. And it does make a difference. He also said what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is the difference that we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life that we lead. And this is where, we are being called, my friends. You and I are being called to be the angels. We are called to be willing to step into something greater and grander than what maybe the world around us or our home environment or our work environment is showing up as. And he said, there is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one that you are capable of living. And that is so true. Now here's the thing, is that we don't have to live the life that Nelson Mandela lived or that Jesus lived. It's not about living this big out there life. It's about living our life to the greatest capability that we can possibly live it. And you know what it's going to take to do that? Well, hold on. It's going to take living with compassion, and living with compassion to be able to be angels in other people's life, is that we're willing, as we've talked about with the nonviolent communication, as we've talked about over the last weeks, that we're willing to know that even if we don't understand somebody else's perspective, even if we don't understand their pain or their anger, that it's real to them. And the best way to alleviate it is to be with somebody compassionately and to be willing to really listen with a mind and a heart that is willing to be changed by what you hear. I think that is just such an important thing for us, because we get so stuck in our own thinking process that we forget to value, no matter what we think about it, that what is happening with that person right there is valid to them. And as long as we aren't willing to connect with it, they're going to keep their guard up. So we have to live with compassion. We also have to live with hope, to be an angel, so that we can go to other people and we can encourage them with our hope, and also to live with faith. The knowing that God is in every situation, God is in every person. And if God is in every situation and every person, infinite possibilities and potentialities exist in it. And we can show up as that person who may say, and I love this, when you maybe can't see this for yourself and can't know this for yourself, I'm going to know it for you. I'm going to hold that vision, and I'm going to see it, and I'm going to partner with you in it, and I'm going to know it, and I'm going to affirm it, and I'm going to pray about it with you and for you. And doesn't that just feel good to know somebody would do that with you and for you? And we have to live with passion. This is so important to be that angel in this world. We have to live with passion, because our passion is what is going to take us to the next thing, which is to live with courage, because it takes a lot of courage to live in truth, to stand in that knowing, and let me put that up there again, to stand in the knowing of the greater reality of the greater realm. Because as we've talked about before, the people around us are going to talk. The people around us are going to judge. They're going to make fun. They're going to mock. They may even beat us up a little bit, not physically. They may even step away from us. And it takes great courage for us to stand in that knowingness of what is possible, of what is the greater truth, of what is that greater reality. So, my friends, today, the calling all angels is not just about those who have been angels in our lives, but I believe that we are all called to be the angels, that we are called to be the messengers of the good news, that we are here to bring, tidings of great joy to everyone, wherever we are, at every single moment, as often as we can. I believe truly that that's our calling. And the last quote I want to share with you from Nelson Mandela is back here because I got it out of order because I added one this morning. We can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands to make a difference. So are you willing? Yes, to be an angel? Yeah, you're all angels. And I celebrate that with you. I celebrate this season that is just this beautiful reminder for us of the birthing of that Christ spirit, that Christ essence, the power and the possibilities and potentiality, the goodness that is latent within every single one of us. So Merry Christmas a couple weeks early, and namaste.